and very challenging and exciting to play a character that is based on true life. I think with the amount of preparation and research that Raju sir and Abhijat had done already, there was very little that one had to do in terms of personal preparation, other than making the effort to understand what the emotional journey of the individual would have been given the circumstance of the situation. So to understand the circumstances as deeply as possible, understand the gravity of the situation, and then of course respond to it with a heightened sense of empathy as a woman, as a mother, as a wife. Because I think the challenge in playing a character that is based on true life is that at a human level and also at a personal level, you don't want to do anything that would let down the real person. You want to be as true to that individual and that moment that they have experienced in their life. And that was really the primary effort, to understand and feel. And then of course there were readings which were very helpful when you have the time to spend with your co-actors and your director. You get an opportunity to mark your scenes in advance on set, become familiar with the environment that you're inhabiting as a character, know your clothes, know the makeup. Like Vikram's team did such a fantastic job with creating Manyata physically, and then of course Eka did such a great job, the clothes. I did though visit some of the videos that were online available during that phase of Manyata's life and Sanju sir's life, because more than anything else, I just wanted to study her body language a little bit and understand little things like how does she smile. Of course, when you interact with somebody in real life, you notice these things, but you don't remember them. So it's good to kind of go back and see that. So that was it, really. She's a rock. I can't even begin to fathom as a human being how challenging and how daunting that experience must have been for her. To birth his children, to lose him to jail, to deal with the ordeal of the court proceeding, the jail term. Even after he was in jail, to just manage her home, her children, the distance between her children and their father, of course her own distance with her own husband. It's commendable, because from everything that I have seen and heard and understood about the role that she's played in his life, there are three words that come to mind. One is strong, extremely supportive and positive, and the third is, I think she kind of, in a very remarkable way, cleaned up a lot of the mess in his life. He is, we all know that Ranbir Kapoor is one of the finest actors of his generation. It's easy to be completely blown away by him on set in a moment during the scene. I remember thinking to myself when I first saw his look test, because when I agreed to do the film, Raju sir was showing me some of his look tests that they'd shot on video. I just couldn't believe the transformation, in his body language, the way he was speaking. It's almost like he has become Sanju sir, and it's wonderful. And I think it's a very tricky area, because there's always that fear of doing too much, and I think he just entrusted Raju sir completely with how much, and this team, this collaboration is powerful. It truly is. And I think one of the most incredible qualities about Ranbir is that he has one of the finest temperaments I've ever worked with. I never saw him once get edgy or lose his cool or become impatient, because it was very, very uncomfortable for him on many days physically to be in prosthetic makeup for 5 hours, to be on a hot set, with a crew of 150 people, and all the madness that filmmaking is about, but to not once kind of lose yourself, your sense of center, sight of the scene. It's remarkable. This is a film that does not have one message. I think it's a film that has several beautiful messages. Ones that you and I can totally relate to and connect with, because the narrative of the film is based completely and primarily on human emotion, which is based on relationships, whether it's father-child, father-son, mother-son, friendship, love. And I think at some level all of us feel like an underdog, because we have our own life experiences that pull us down, that help us bounce back. And there's so much that you and me can see and feel in the film that will remind us of our own lives in some way. And there may be no kind of, because Sanju's story is, it's too unreal to be real. So we may not have had the same experiences, but I believe that the experiences in themselves will lend a certain insight and a certain emotion that all of us can very easily connect to. So this will be my third film credit with him. I acted in Lage Raho Munna Bhai, which was a fantastic collaboration. I think for the first time I felt like a human being and an actor, because of the kind of respect and love and attention he gives every fine detail. It was never, when Baman and I would do workshops for Lage Raho Munna Bhai or ask Raju sir 100 questions, he never once said, just do the scene. He would really invest time in understanding why we were asking the questions we were. There were so many things that he would kind of turn around because of the questions that were being asked. So he's always been a very democratic director. There's no hierarchy on his film set. He's also very engaging with his actors, and that hasn't changed. He's possibly one of the most grounded and beautiful human beings one could work with. He just has the most incredible sense of clarity, because he writes his own material and he edits it as well. It's almost like he is editing parallelly while a scene is being shot. So he's even precise about how much time you take on a pause. He's that particular, and it's fantastic because you just, as an actor, you feel so safe and so secure in his direction that and at the same time, if you instinctively feel something, you have the freedom to go to him and say, I don't think this is working, or can I try this, or can we do this differently? And he's so welcoming to those ideas. So 3 Idiots had a credit for me, which was really sweet. I thought it was adorable of him to put my name there. So I keep telling everyone that out of all the actors on the film, Baman and I are the only two who've had maximum Raju Hirani experience in working with him, which is really good, because I think for any actor to work with Raju sir is a blessing. I think that there are certain individuals around us who have led the kind of lives that can essay many stories. So it's not about making a story on them while they're still around. It's about the message in their story. That because when you talk of Dhoni, it's the story was centered around his phase and a time in his life that is so relevant to so many young people in the country. It was so inspiring for everyone who watched it. And of course, he's still playing cricket and he's still around, but maybe another story can be told about another chapter of his life later. Like that, I think Sanju sir's life, the way it has unfolded for him, many stories can be told. Ranbir and I keep saying this, that you can actually make like a Netflix series on his life, because there are so many chapters that have their own unique journey, and they're so complete in their own way that it's impossible to kind of contain his story into one film. But in his case, I think there was a certain aspect and a certain phase and a certain time of his life that Raju sir discovered, and I think he was just so taken in by the subject that he had to explore it and he had to tell the story. So I don't agree with the fact that one has to wait to make a film about somebody's life in posterity. I think there is no harm and nothing wrong with telling a story about a person who's still with us, because I think if there's one thing that we can all gift someone who's still around is the acknowledgement of the truth.